order. Have the agenda in front of us. Ask if there's any changes, additions, deletion. Corrections.
I don't have any. Well, oh, yeah.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
Morning.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. See, the sheriff is here, or just go right down to number 3. Back out there, I think the bad guys rounded up.
Oh, boy.
Thank you, Kurt.
Think that new guy's gonna be able to handle it?
Oh, yeah, that one, yeah.
What?
Yeah, he would be amazing.
$2,348.79.
I'll make a motion to approve the sheriff's report for
Second.
October. You'll be around though, won't you? Kinda help out?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
In case we need backup.
yes.
Hear any more about the incident up by McIntyre, the cattle thing? We have a motion and a second to approve the sheriff's report for October. Roll call vote. Oakland.
Aye.
Walk.
Aye.
Morale. Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Back up to item 2, meet with rural library representatives. Any here today? Let's do what you have to say. Pull up a chair there, buddy.
Okay, I'm not really,
Stand if you feel like it, that's fine.
I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to be here to say or do, but,
Well, just
Tell us how good the library is.
information you have.
well, the library, we are asking for a 4% increase. The circulations have been going up. One of the biggest things for Osage is our children's program on Monday evenings or after school. We normally have about 100 students come over, so it's been a fantastic program. They meet over in the safety center. That's a nice facility up there. They meet upstairs. Other than that, our circulation is going up. We did put our new lights in. I don't know if you are aware, we went to LED lights. That is saving us, it's only been in there 2 months, but that is saving us about $500 a month. Yeah, we've gone down probably, well, $500 would be 4,000 to 5,000 kilowatt hours a month the last 2 months. So that's going well for us. Other than that, the
What
library.
did that cost you to put those in?
I believe it was about 22,000. So we expect that to be paid back over several years, but
Sure.
they definitely will pay for themselves if this continues up.
Yeah, they have a long
Yeah.
lifespan.
You said they're LED?
Yes, the majority of that was done prior to my being elected or selected for that board, so I'm not positive on the 22,000 number, but I believe that to be a true number.
Less than a 4-year payback.
Exactly, which isn't too bad.
No. And they've got at least a 10-year.
And the LEDs are supposed to be a 10-year life expectancy. I don't know if we're getting, just my personal, I don't know if the halogens have, or not the halogens, but the,
CFLs.
yeah, the CFLs, I don't know if they have the life that
Oh, no.
they claim they have, but the LEDs, I was told, have a 10-year life, so. And not only that, we were replacing, probably every 2 years, we were replacing every light in there.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
so I think it's definitely gonna help us out. Have any questions for me? I can try to answer that.
I don't have any right offhand.
What type of is this about the information that you're looking
Yeah.
for from us?
Sure.
Right, that's
So
what they
I have an
normally tell
additional
us.
piece also too, is the technology piece. And we're finding that more and more people are using the computers in our libraries. And all of the libraries, no matter if it's Statesville, Raceville, Osage, or St. Ansgar, pay the same amount for a computer. So all of us have that expense.
Right.
And the technology advances so fast, you know. We keep them a lot longer than we would
Should.
normally. Yeah, than we should. That's a good way. We keep them a lot longer than we should. And we've been relying a lot on grant funding, but it's still hard to keep up with that, you know, keeping that technology current. And in Stacyville, we're also seeing that explosion. We have 85 children in our
Yeah, and,
programs.
How many?
85.
Wow.
yeah,
So-
it's, the after-school programs are becoming
Yeah.
fantastic. They're exploding.
That's
But
good.
like I said, I'd forgotten about the technology piece. We are ordering laptops, you know, we ordered 2 laptops for people, and it's just, they've gotta have access, and people who don't have access come.
Yeah.
We actually went through our internet policy last night, because we're trying to we've got to modernize that. There's people that come in there and spend 4 or 5 hours a day on that. Now, whether they're working or going to school, you know, we really don't keep track of that, but
Playing solitaire.
yeah, playing solitaire. But even if they're playing solitaire, that's a place that obviously they need to be.
So then you have wireless access
Yes.
at the library, so anybody can bring their laptop in
Correct.
there and get the password and.
There actually isn't a password.
Nothing, right?
No, nothing. And we do have people, in fact, I know a person who goes over there and he works from the library and he just likes being there where people are. He could work from home, but he works at the library. So I do know that people use that.
Well, if you have a laptop and you can't afford the monthly
Yeah, even if
high-speed
you,
internet, well,
yeah,
you know, how far does it go, the parking lot?
parking lot. I think you can get
That's what
over
parking
at
lot's
Spawns
always
Rose, but, yeah, the parking lot's always.
Yeah.
All night long.
But there's several rooms in there
Yeah,
that people
no.
will go into those rooms or they'll sit back in our lounge area. But yeah, technology is a huge expense.
Yeah. We have a lot of people, they'll actually sit outside and install Wi-Fi too.
And I don't know that for us.
Yeah,
Was you asking then 4% also, Barb, or?
across the
Yeah,
board,
across the board.
as the
The
group,
transport.
as a
The
group.
group.
The entire
Yeah.
Yeah,
thing?
as a
4%,
group.
okay.
Maybe you don't know this right offhand, but this past fall, we did do those DVDs of the courthouse here and sent some over to every one of the libraries. Did you have many people check them out?
We had a few people check them out in our library in Statesville.
And I don't have the answer to that. I know they're there.
In
but I
fact, I
know-
think one is out right now, so.
Just curious if it was worth our time and effort.
Yeah, I think it definitely was in our case.
I have no idea of our circulation list.
Well, again, you know, we'll take this under consideration like we always do, but.
Budget's coming up, budget time's coming, so
Okay.
if we,
January, first part of January, we'll be doing the budget. You're more than welcome to sit in. I mean, the workshops, that's where the action is. The hearing in March is just a formality, is about what it boils down to, so.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thanks
thanks
for
for coming in, Barb.
But again, is there anything else that you would like next year or anything else that you would like to hear from
I
us?
can't think of anything right offhand.
Normally what they do, they just come in and give us an overview of what's going on, what's new, how many
Sometimes they-
people are using it, and that's
That's what,
pretty much.
okay?
A balance sheet or, you know, what your
But
budget.
justification why you think the increase is necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest thing is the technology and the fact that we are serving more people in the community. And I don't know why it's the explosion of kids, but you're seeing it as well.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely are. And you did receive the packets from Nicole Smith? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think if one group of children come to that library to do something and they are talking about it amongst their friends, well, then everybody kind of wants to
Yeah.
have a
And
place to go.
it's a safe place for children to be.
Yeah.
I mean, the summertime, we see kids all day long that their parents are at work.
To babysit too, or
Well,
are they well behaved?
most of them are
Most of them,
well behaved, and I'm a former teacher, so.
Sure.
Well, I
Got the yardstick handy, yeah?
I come by the library here in the summertime, and there's bicycles and kids going in and out, and not only kids, but older people too, you know, so I think libraries are,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really surprised of the predictions, the internet is gonna kill the library type stuff, and it doesn't seem to be that way.
Added to it.
It just added to it, add another service.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, thanks for
Thank you,
coming.
gentlemen.
Item 4 is the Galen project update. Tom Madden is here this morning.
Very quick one today. No pay requests or anything like that. All the foundations for all the tanks are in. This week they're finishing up the top slab for the 2 large tanks. They're going home for Thanksgiving, then they'll be back the following Monday. They'll finish up the small tanks, and then all the steel starts going up. We're still on track with the design of the other portion of the plant, so nothing significant to report on the bad side of things. And progress going. The weather's been a great break. It's helped out because all the stuff we're doing is concrete, so it's real nice that
Yeah.
we've had these temperatures. It's helping these guys out a lot, so it's going really well. I really have no issues with what's going on out there. So
So a person can drive through out there if you wanted to look at it.
you could just gotta watch out for the Valiant safety guy. He's not supposed to be on our site, but they do drive around, and I've gotten a number of phone calls from them because they have their safety program is beyond strict, and it's great because they've got a 0 tolerance and they've got a 0 injury record. I mean, they're very good at that stuff. But they patrol the area where the gates are on that road to get in and out of the.
If I put my Valiant hard hat on, I'd probably get in, wouldn't
I think if you just speed through there, they can't. He drives around in a quad, so you can't get you anyway. But, and it's been good because we're not out there 24/7. We're out there during the important stuff, and our contractors around here are they do a great job, but sometimes we've got the good old boy mentality about some things, and we've left holes open with no fencing around it. And I've gotten a call from the Valiant safety guy, and you know what? You're right. It's required. It's in our specs to have fencing. We weren't there when they closed up that night, so get on the call and get a fence, and we got a fence. So.
Was it you that told me that before each shift, everybody has to
Calisthenics.
Calisthenics?
Yep. So, got to stretch out and be ready for the job. And I'll tell you what, even the boys at Hinkle have said that, our Dean Snyder, it does actually make a difference. They got 25 different kinds of gloves out there because you have to have certain gloves for certain types of work, and it's very specific on how it's run. So, we got kicked off there once, by the way.
You got kicked out?
Our survey crew did, yeah. The guy said if you ever, and it was, the guy had just got out of the truck, he hadn't had his hard hat on. I mean, he was just getting out. He goes, do it one more time, you never on the site again. It's like, okay, we're sorry. But, they're very specific, so we follow their rules, and they help us out with the stuff we want to see, and we like that. Yeah, but it's going great. But yeah, you guys are always welcome to drive by there. Dunley's out there about every day checking on stuff too, so.
Right with him, they know his deal.
There you go. So, any questions from you folks?
Well, it's going good, that's all we like to hear.
It is going good.
When, you said now, at what time are we gonna go out for bids on the building portion of it? Did you say
Looks like
January,
it's
February?
January, yep. And I'm not sure, early, late. It's unfortunate that we've got, there's 2 projects here that are separate projects. And I've got one more large one in Hampton. What I don't want to do is bundle them all together. What we want to do is stagger them so that the people that didn't win one of them know they didn't win it, and they put the resources to start bidding the next one. And if they don't win that one, they put the resources together to bid the next one. So what we'll probably do is we'll see all 3 of those major projects that I have going on bid a week to a week and a half apart, just so that we don't discourage some folks because we're all bidding on the same day or something. So internally we're staging things to do that. But I think that's going to do is it's going to get a lot of eyes in North Iowa from all the big contractors because Hampton's not that far away from here. And that's a $8 million project, and then we got the big projects we got going on here. So this is going to be a big focal area for the large firms. I had a guy out of Missouri that does large industrial plants, and that's all they do. And he works for Kraft. And he came up to visit me because he'd heard about this project going on. So the interest bubble is getting bigger, which is great. And we'll stagger the bids, and we'll have millions of dollars worth of work here in 3 weeks bidding, and it's going to have a lot of interest in this area. So it'll be good. I'm actually pretty excited for all that, so. It'll be nice to get these other big guys I've never really worked with before, just because we haven't been able to draw them to North Iowa with these smaller projects, so. It'll be nice.
Yes.
Things are shaping up. All right, man. That's all I got for you guys. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody.
You too.
And I'll see you next week.
Yep.
All right, take care.
Thank you, Tom.
See ya.
Well, it is 8:45. We have a public hearing to consider the sale of property to Floyd County. Anybody hear anything from auditors?
I haven't heard
Nothing. Open it up to the public, I guess.
Maybe what you wanna do is
Yeah,
have Adam
wanna
give a
explain
brief,
brief.
Yeah, I got some
what's
handouts if
going on.
anyone's interested, just how the project came together real quick here. Pass them out. Don't quite have enough, so. Just shows the partners on the project, kinda how the finances were laid out for it. And at the bottom there, you'll see, I kinda need this one to talk off of, I'll let you see it later. But,
This was the Larson farm down on the county line,
yep,
right?
this is the Rock Creek Wildlife Area now, and basically all the funds were acquired through grants except for the final 24,000 you can see at the bottom, and that was split between Mitchell and Floyd counties. And pretty much this sale is just to give them their half of the property, and we have clear title and all the finances are in place. We've received their half, so.
So basically, it was a joint project. Mitchell County was the lead agency. You ended up buying it, and now it's time to,
Exactly, yep.
Transfer half the property to Floyd or whatever's in Floyd County to them.
Yep, whatever's in Floyd County is going.
Well, if I remember that, I think Mel said there was like 80 acres of farm ground in Floyd County, if that's what we're talking about here. And then how many acres was in Mitchell County?
I'm not sure on the precise acreage breakdown. It's kind of a laissez-faire agreement, I guess. We're gonna manage pretty much everything that's north of the creek, and they're gonna manage pretty much everything that's south. The actual boundary of property will just follow the county line, which is kind of a squiggly line right in there. And I think we have somewhere around 40 acres of what is now crop ground that we're going to convert to prairie habitat, and then there's probably another 40 or so in woodlands. So,
And this would be open to public hunting?
Yep.
Or is this gonna be
Yep.
preserved? Or?
it'll be a hunting area for sure. There's also plans on the area to do some fish habitat improvement maybe in the next year or two, so.
Good.
I used to fish rock bass down there years ago, so.
Yeah,
They were
There's-
fun.
the crossing there between Floyd and Mitchell County, it's kind of it's been preventing fish coming upstream, so we're gonna tear that out and do some bank stabilization if we can get some grant funds in place.
well, right now, there isn't enough water in that thing to,
That's right.
It's coming.
Maybe we ought to build some dams.
Well, that's what we have there is a dam, and it's just there's like a 3-foot drop. Normally on high water year it'd be still 2-foot drop or so that smallmouth bass and stuff can't get up to make fishing available further upstream. So we're gonna remove that, and they'll be able to get as far up as they can. It'll enhance the fishery for sure. So.
Any further discussion? Close the public hearing then?
so move to approve the sale.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve the sale of this property to Floyd County. Roll call vote, Clark?
Aye.
Wolflander? Wolflander?
Aye.
Aye. Morel, aye. Motion carried. Thank you, Adam. Morning, Mark. Signed one of these once and I ended up in the French Quarter. So I think that's removed.
We're watching the edge.
Yes. Is there another one too, Mark? Yes, I do, I love
It's on the D1487,
that. Yeah, yeah, unbelievable.
That's, just want to fill
That's
those
not
out
an
sometime,
exaggeration
get 'em
either.
back to me, and then I'll notify you, so I just need the resolution numbers and things like that.
Item 7 is County Attorney General discussion. Is there anything on, Mark, that we have?
I opened an envelope this morning, and there's a contract from FEH, and it's AIA document. Do you want to look at it before?
I suppose I should look at it. I know what it's gonna say.
Thanks, Adam.
Yep, thanks a lot.
We did approve.
We've already
hiring him
approved.
Before,
Hiring them. And
can the chair just sign that once you approve of that?
Sure, yeah. Just,
We don't need a motion then on that, do we?
if you've already approved it, no.
Okay.
and it's just a standard, I haven't had a chance to look through it yet either, but
Okay.
Lowell and I did meet up, and I'll just, well, give that presentation now, that I was on the way to Ames a week or so ago, it was on, in the evening, and Don had called, that's Don Seymour from FEH, wanted to know if we could meet on Tuesday, late evening or early evening or whatever, and of course, driving down the interstate, you don't have your calendar in front of you, and I said, yeah, I think that'll work. Well, the time I got home, well, that was landfill meeting that night, so I emailed him back, I also copied Lowell on it. Well, he said, I guess they were gonna be up in Mankato or something like that, and he said they'd have dinner, and then possibly they could meet us coming through. And I said that'd probably work, probably have the landfill meeting over at 7, so. Anyway, Lowell and I met them here about 7 o'clock, and what they wanted to do is sit down and, you know, kind of, Lowell, fill me in if I miss something. Three of them came, and basically what they want to do is there are going to be 2 studies simultaneously done. One would be a new courthouse, the other one would be rehabilitation, preservation, whatever you want to call it. They kind of discussed that a little bit with us, and I said, yeah, that's what the agreement was. The vote came back no, and that's what we wanted to do. So they said they needed to go back and they would send the 2 contracts, and one for us, and we had to return one when they're signed. There was a study they were gonna do on the preservation. It was hard to write anything down because there's 3 people talking at once, you know, and Lowell,
You just needed a third hand is all?
Lowell was doing a good job, I thought I'd let him do it, but there's this, the preservation part of it is they're gonna come back and there are to look at the original fabric of this building. And,
And they have a architect with one of their offices that does structural and does things historical.
Right.
He'll be coming over.
and I think he's out of the Sioux City office.
Right, yeah.
He's part of the team. There'll be 2 teams, so.
Probably spend,
They're gonna
start
come-
about noon and be here all afternoon and probably into the early evening.
Right. These meetings probably won't start until after the first of the year, just
Yeah.
because of the holiday season and whatever going forward. So, anyway, it sounded real interesting, and they left, and they said they would send these contracts, so they did.
Well, it looks to me like what you're actually doing here is, I mean, I'm just skimming right now, is you're hiring him to do the entire project, correct?
Yep.
This isn't just for the study.
Right.
Okay.
One way or the other, whichever project it is.
Right.
And in the end, what they'll do is they'll present, this is preservation, restoration, or this or is a new courthouse.
And they want a public meeting.
And they also need a place in town here for probably 3 days. It would take 3 days for those public meetings. And we're thinking maybe the safety center
Yeah,
upstairs
upstairs there.
would probably be a large enough
Working
area.
with 40, 50 people.
Yeah. They'd like to see 30, 40, 50 people, right? So. And the public is encouraged and welcome to go to all these meetings if you have, you know, if your interest lies there.
Anything else, Mike?
I don't have any.
Okay, I'll stick around for this.
Well,
next.
basically here, yeah, a few weeks ago, there was a complaint filed against the Board of Supervisors saying that we were nasty people and so on and so forth, that we were presenting information on the courthouse that was trying to sway a vote, and I think it went in front of the Iowa Ethics Board. Did you ever hear how that?
I don't know if it was this week or if it was last week. I haven't, it's in, the date's in the paper, I just haven't, I don't know when it was.
It's in today's Globe.
The results? Oh, what was the results?
Nothing, it was dismissed.
It was dismissed, so we're not nasty people.
Well, I don't know, it just says it was dismissed.
So we don't have to turn ourselves into Kurt this afternoon, or what?
You haven't got any room left over there, man. Anyway.
Well, that's what I hear. It's a good thing they'll.
They met on Friday.
In Haven, so.
The committee met Friday, and we were informed
Full clerk of
yesterday.
the court stuff.
Okay.
But there's a short little thing in the paper today.
Yeah, we like,
So you will be having a nice article on it here in the next week or so in the press news?
It's the article that's in the Globe today.
That isn't what I asked, I said about the press news.
It'll be the same article in the press news that was in the Globe today.
Okay, county engineer. Morning, Rich.
Morning.
How are you?
I am great, fine, swell, terrific, excellent.
Sunshine.
Called any better, you'd have to be twins.
What's that?
Said if you called any better, you'd have to be twins.
We're doing a lot of ditch cleaning here this week. Just the weather's nice. We're trying to catch up on all the work orders we've got. Going out and blading when we can. We've got some blades out. We're out doing some brush cutting. Actually, the brush cutter's got parked now. We're kind of doing some repairs on the mower head on that. So we've been out when we can to cut down some of the brush since it's nice out. Not much to report on maintenance stuff other than they've got a lot of the snow equipment on. Snow fence is up. We're waiting for it to snow now. We've got 300 ton of salt delivered here between last week and today. That's a partial of what we ordered. We kind of want to get into our pile a little bit to get some of the used stuff used up. We've got till March to get it all delivered, so I don't think we'll run out of salt anytime soon here. So we talked with Worth County about that, the old engineer's car. I did get, based on Mark's request, I did get a couple other used car dealers to look at it and give a price on it, and they essentially did the same thing I did, took the NADA and the Kelly Blue Book and looked at it, and they figure it was about a $2,000 car. So if you guys are okay with the sale to Worth County will pay $1,000 for their half of that car and get it taken care of.
works for me. We want a motion on that?
Or just based on the approval of the sale.
Yeah, I make a motion that we accept the $1,000 for half the price of the engineer's old car, not the old engineer's car.
The old engineer or the old car?
Both.
We're selling, we're keeping the engineer selling the car, okay.
Second.
The motion is second to approve the sale of the engineer's car to our half, Mitchell County's half of the car actually to Worth County. Roll call vote, Bill Flanders.
Aye.
What?
Aye.
We're out, aye, motion carried.
We get a lot of, we're always replacing signs, aluminum signs and whatnot. Some of them are bent up, some of them we can't use anymore, so we have a scrapper come in and he takes them to the scrap yard and he gives us cash for the scrap price of the aluminum. We've had a request from the Mitchell County Snowmobile Club that wondering if they could purchase the signs for scrap price. What they want to do is
cut them into the smaller diamond shapes and then face them themselves as reflectors. What the snowmobile clubs do now is they buy plastic ones that, you know, in the wintertime they get brittle and break and whatnot, and they thought, you know, if we're not gonna use them anymore, they could certainly, I don't know if one of the guys in the club's got a metal shear and they'll cut them into smaller squares and reface them. If you guys are okay with that, it's not much different than us selling a used culvert to somebody that wants to do a driveway, you know, on their own private property. You know, some guy will want to do something on their private property, and if we've got a used culvert, we'll sell it half of new and go that way. You know, the one thing I think about is the Snowmobile Club's a non-profit organization who does get fuel tax to, you know, that supports their organization, and, you know, this is maybe a cost savings for them as well. So if you guys don't see too big of an issue, and I don't see too big of an issue, and, you know, it either goes to Leroy and gets shredded, or we'll have them sign a waiver, you know, stating that they can't reuse those signs, but they don't do us any good.
Right.
So, I guess it's one way to recycle.
Who's the head of the club, Larry?
I think, I gotta remember if it's Larry Beeson or, and if Keith Pop is, I don't know if they switched this year or not. We've had,
Well, if you go north of St. Ansgar and you see the bridge apparently they put over Turtle Creek, they said that, you know, that they must have spent $20-some thousand on that bridge. And they said you could actually drive a semi over it.
yeah,
It's built that well. And so, I mean, they're a dedicated group that is trying to continue.
So how is it that they can build a bridge across the creek for snowmobiles, but yet the county cannot build a bridge across the creek for bicycles without an engineer on board?
don't ask me. Don't know what their requirements are compared to
They
everybody
put
else.
$180,000
Well, bicycles must be
bridge for bicycles
much more
over
dangerous.
I don't know if they're a private entity that they can do that, I don't know.
I think they still have to get DNR review for it, but I don't know how their whole process works.
I think they did.
They do have to talk to the DNR, they can't just plop it in, but
And it might have to do, and I'm not sure on this, if it's designated as a navigation, what's the word?
navigable water.
Yeah, if it's designated navigable water.
Well, most of our creeks are designated.
Are they that?
They want to try to make our ditches navigable waters too, which we don't want, because then we can't do anything.
Yeah.
And then they also had a request from the Iowa Flood Center. They want to talk to me, and I haven't gotten back to them yet because I didn't have time yesterday when I got in the office, but they want to talk about installing some sensors on our bridges for flooding. So I'll just see what they have proposed. I know out on number 9, they've got a USGS sensor out there for flooding on the Cedar. So I don't know if they want to start monitoring some of these smaller streams or what, but I'll talk with them and let them know too. So. Last week, on a Sunday, we had a request from a farmer to run a manure hose over Noble Avenue so that they could pump manure into their field and inject it with their injecting equipment. That's a rare request that we've maybe seen one other time that I know of. And that last time we had done that, because it was short notice, we offered them to come pick up barricades from the shop and erect them themselves to close the road temporarily so that they could inject their manure and cross the road without beating up the gravel roads with the big tanker wagons. The same request, or a similar request, came last Sunday, not last Sunday, the Sunday prior, and they wanted to do it on Monday, and providing past practices of what we've done, we've allowed that. We were aware they were going to use the signs and erect them. They were going to run a hose across the road for what they said was 2 to 3 hours. So we granted permission for them to come get signs and erect signs for that temporary closure. And as it turned out, it took a little bit longer because it was a little colder. I think Monday, I don't know why Monday didn't work for them, but it ended up being Tuesday, and Tuesday their stuff had froze up, so it took them a little bit longer to do. So we can have that discussion on maybe providing a policy. What we told the individuals were this one time, but after that, we need you guys to install some sort of a culvert under the road if you want to continue to cross the road with a sewer pipe, with the manure pipe. Typically, and I've sent a broadcast email out to all the other county engineers, and a lot of the other county engineers have done the same thing with a request like that. If you know you kind of caught blindsided with it, they've allowed them to temporarily close the road for a while, and then they say just this one time, and next time at your expense you will put something under the road to push that pipe through so we don't have to close the road anymore. That's what happened last week.
And they were still working after dark.
They got to the dark and I didn't realize they hadn't shut down yet, and that's when I got the phone call from you, and that's when we said pull the plug now. They only said they had another half an hour, but we didn't allow it. There weren't any flashers on the barricades, and it was getting dark. The reasoning behind it was simple. They could have taken load after load on a 4-axle manure wagon and destroyed the road versus closing the road down for what we thought was going to be 3 hours, and we saved ourselves time and effort by not having to reblade the road or put rock down to.
First of all, they can't go and destroy the road. We've got a road protection ordinance in this county that they will pay the damages on that road.
Understandably so, we get a lot of.
Implement of husbandry.
Really?
Implement of husbandry doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
So, I guess the
They'll
reasoning
just leave
behind.
the road the way it is then when they're done.
The reasoning behind it was, we kind of thought we could save ourselves having to reblade the road and maybe have to put rock down after all the traffic was going on the gravel road.
They do tear up the roads quite well.
We've seen a lot of it, so.
Saw a lot of it in past years when I was hauling mail, so. Does Jim Koenig's up there, he runs all his under the road?
He had
still?
started, yep, I don't know if he was the first one that had requested one when they first started doing it to temporary close while they ran a hose across, but we've also told him that he can't be doing. I wasn't here when that happened, I was just going by memory or by what people have told me, but since then they have gotten utility permit requests to run a 12-inch pipe under the road. They'll bore it under the road or dig it in, and then they'll run their pipe that way from now on. I don't think it's a bad idea considering how much damage that equipment does to our roads. But
No, it's a great idea to pump
we
it.
do not have in this county a set policy, however.
No, and that's what we're having the discussion for today, is to decide if we need something in writing, a policy, something that says they have to have a permit or what. I don't know, we need a resolution or something to, I don't know, I guess I'll have to ask Mark to. Really.
Putting the pipe under the ground, under the road is simple. That could be a utility permit. I mean, we have one of those. We don't technically have a written policy that says you cannot. I mean, obviously, it's not a safe thing to just run a hose across the road without closing a road or having permission to do so.
Is it any safer to have the hose on the side of the road? Is that even legal?
To put it,
You have a 10-inch hose running on a secondary road?
is it on the shoulder? Or is it
Well,
on
what do you
the...
consider the shoulder on a gravel road? If it's on the gravel, it's on the road.
That's what I'm asking.
It's
I mean,
on-
when I'm
it's
thinking...
on the gravel.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't allow them to put it on the shoulder.
Well, they have been.
Who has?
Repeatedly. I don't know who the company is that's out
Okay.
of that confinement.
Most people will run it in the ditch. They won't run alongside the road, and we haven't been aware of them doing that along the
I
road.
have pictures of it laying right on the side of the road from that facility crossing Noble. I've got pictures of them coming north on Noble.
Okay, we haven't been aware of that until this last time when they requested to run across the road. So, we probably...
Well, these are the things that need to be addressed.
You're right.
Are we gonna allow these companies or these operations, even though it's a secondary road, to allow them to put this hose on the roadway?
I don't agree with it, no.
I think if we're gonna allow them to do this, I mean, the ditch should be
Exactly.
substantial. And their responsibility. Now, believe me, I wanna make clear to you that I agree with the pumping of it is a great deal, because it does alleviate the destruction because they do.
Yeah.
They tear the roads up. That's something that should be addressed too. Why even an implement, still, why are we allowing this to happen? That equipment is huge. And you can't tell me that these bridges that they're crossing on these secondary roads, the signs are right there, are not even close to taking the weight restriction that's there.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
But my point is that these people had a different option, and somebody here has allowed the use of the county signs. Now, I might understand there was no fee involved with this either,
we had the signs, we just said, if you come get them and you erect them, it didn't cost us anything.
Right,
I mean, the
understand.
signs are already owned, we have them.
So a private company came in and you allowed them to use county property for their personal gain, basically. But in your eyes, you thought, we're saving ourselves some money here because
You
they're
try
gonna
to
tear
work
up
with
our
the
road.
public with, what's the cost of saying completely no and then
Okay.
having to spend the money to, it's almost no different than closing a road to, and we've done it in the past too, if a contractor doesn't have barricades, when they put a tile crossing under the road, we've got to allow a tile crossing under the road, they'll close the road too, and we'll provide the barricades for that, and it's their personal gain, but we've still got to allow the access across the right of way.
Some discussion earlier here now, you stated that you allowed them to do this once.
Right.
Is this practice gonna still continue, so further road closures
That's
could be
where-
coming?
That's where we need to, that's where this whole policy has come up now. Are we gonna see more of this, that we can't get this, and this was last minute, I mean, our road foreman got on a Friday, they wanted to do it on a Monday, and we're like, well, if you need to get it done, let's do it, but we need to start, if we're gonna see more of this, and I would love to see more of it, get them big tankers off the roads, but maybe the policy stands that if you wanna do this, you need to plan a route, and at any crossing, you need to put a pipe in the ground
Exactly,
to run your hose.
exactly.
And nothing can be on should be on the roadway.
And we've had this issue before, and Kurt Yonker was called on this, if it wasn't last year, the year before, one of these operations left the hose on the road overnight. Not crossing the road, on the road.
That can't happen, that should not happen.
And that's my point on this. This isn't the first time I've addressed this.
This is the first time I've been made aware of it, I don't know how long ago it's been
Well, I
since
don't know
you've
what
been in
else, that's
either.
why I'm here, because obviously my call to the sheriff's department is not effective in this matter, and that's why I called Bob on this matter. My biggest concern is that, first of all, the signs were let out. And I understand your reasoning with that, but whoever that operation is had another option and they chose not to do it. There's a culvert just a couple 100 feet of that intersection they could have crossed through.
I wasn't aware of the culvert there.
There is a
Okay.
large culvert there.
Okay,
So, these are the things that I'm upset about. First of all, the road closure, for this reason, to me is absurd. Second of all, like I said, and which I had to keep pursuing this, is that the road closure was only gonna be temporary for a few hours, my
That's what we were made aware of.
explanation, and obviously it wasn't. And how does that leave, who's responsible? If somebody would've went through that barricade, who's at fault here? They're your signs with no beacons on them, no forewarning signs.
during the
and-
day, you don't need the beacons, now,
But
they drug it out
this
longer than
was
we
clear-
thought,
I
I
know, I
understand
understand.
that, so.
But clearly,
But it was a road closure. Now, it wasn't what do you want to say, approved by the Board of Supervisors. There wasn't a whole lot of time to run that rigmarole, but they did have permission. And I don't know legally how that falls in, Mark, with,
Well, let's
And
just,
that's why we're here today, to have a discussion on what needs to be done in the future. We can't change the past, okay?
well, I was just gonna say, let's take a ridiculous example. Let's say a road completely collapses, okay? You don't have to come running to the Board of Supervisors and say, oh, can we put signs up? I mean, you put signs up. If somebody drives through the sign, it's their fault. Simple answer. So once you've made the decision as the county engineer to close the road, if somebody goes through those signs, it's their fault.
however, there were not flashing lights on them, and I was not aware of that either. When it got dark, they should have had lights on them, and they didn't.
I agree.
And that was,
and that's why I had the sheriff's department. I called the sheriff's department and said, you need to get a vehicle down there.
Once I got the phone call-
With its lights.
once I got the phone call, the road foreman came out there and shut them down. I mean, we
Right,
had
I
to do that,
understand And I appreciate that.
so.
But I guess
Going
just,
forward, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
well, these are my points, if I can, real quick. First of all, are we gonna continue to allow this to happen again?
The intent is not to.
Okay, the second thing that I think that needs to be addressed is these operations. Are we gonna allow, as you said, it's, you shouldn't have, but are we gonna allow that hose to be on the roadway?
I wouldn't agree with that. Most guys that I've seen, and I've seen it travel in other parts of the state, they run them in the ditch. And that should be where they belong. They don't belong on the roadway.
Right.
They're a hazard.
Exactly. That's my point. Are we gonna allow this, and to police it, are we gonna have to have something set in to where a permit is required to even do this?
Well, do you want to, I mean, that becomes the question. Do we need to, if they're going to put a utility in the roadway, a conduit, we'll call it, to run the hose through the road, do we also need to have a permit saying you're going to put a hose in the right-of-way temporarily? I don't think so. Because as long as they stay in the ditch, it's not typically a hazard.
But it is a hazard when it's on the roadway.
When it's on the road, you're correct.
And this,
And
like I
that
said,
can't happen.
That's what I'm saying here, is
Yes.
that's one of my biggest points.
No, I agree.
So what can we do legally?
Well, here's the problem.
What can we do?
Here's the problem.
Anything? Maybe nothing.
You call up the sheriff and say, go out there and take the hose off, get him to take the hose off the road. The sheriff says, I'm not gonna do it. We're done. What do we do? You should have the sheriff's department here. I mean, if we're gonna be talking about this, the sheriff's department needs to be here.
I mean,
It's like the steel wheel ordinance. You can pass all the ordinances you want.
If it's not enforced.
If they won't go out and write tickets, it doesn't do any good.
I think it's odd though that you've seen them on the shoulder or on the edge of the road, because I haven't, and I'm not saying that you have. I mean, I'm not saying you haven't either.
Obviously, and I've got pictures.
That's
of it.
fine, and I don't think that's right. They should.
Even this last one where they crossed the road, they came straight out of that facility, ran right down 410th, went across the road, and stayed on the road.
See, and that.
And that's nearly a mile hose.
Well, basically though, outside of this incident, have we really had much problems with this in the past?
I haven't been aware of it, but I think.
But has anybody brought it up?
Well, but if nobody's bringing it
think
up,
so.
it's obviously not a problem.
Yeah, I think
I've
that's
never
why-
heard of it before. Never.
I
This
mean,
is the
I'm not
first
trying
time.
to,
That's why I think up at around the McIntyre area, there's a lot of CAFOs, and, Jim Koenig's, the name comes up, and he has called me years ago already, and asking if they could go through culverts and everything, and I've
And
never-
that's-
never had a complaint from that whole area.
But I don't agree with them laying it on the side of the road either.
Well,
I don't think that's a safe thing at all.
for right now, I mean, there's roads that have 200 traffic vehicles a day or whatever count. There's other roads that we're lucky to have 10 vehicles a day and so on. I would just as soon have this go back to your office. It's your decision. I mean, you look at the, what the hell am I trying? The history of the road
Sure.
and whatnot all, and make a decision by that. I mean, if it's a heavy traffic road, no, you absolutely don't wanna have. But if it's a very light traffic road, there's no neighbors that have any problems and this and that, I mean, I don't know that we have to make this thing more difficult than what it is.
But we have been requiring, huh?
Keep it in the ditch.
I think it needs to, number
Yeah.
one, stay in the ditch. Number two, I think if they wanna cross the road, they've gotta bore the
But that-
cost of.
But then, let that be your call, or, like you say, if there is a thing for 2-3 hours, I mean, let it be your call.
We kinda need to know
They,
when they're doing it, cause we don't always get those phone calls, and I don't know if I wanna be called every time somebody wants to pump manure, but if there was something written that they all understood, this is how that needs to happen. I mean, granted, it's just a policy, but,
So why don't you come up with a policy in the next couple, 2-3 weeks, and
Well, we
we'll
can-
take a look at it.
well, we can. I
and
mean,
we
it's
should
not gonna be
invite law
difficult.
enforcement to come over too at the same time. for
Get some
discussion.
boilerplate from some other county that's already done that work, and,
I can certainly do that.
I mean, whatever works and what's been working for them. But
See if there's
I don't
any-
wanna,
But.
I'd like to add to this too, if I can. Stan's, asking you to look into the road traffic and the number of vehicles, and it doesn't matter. It takes one person, something to happen to one person. I don't care how many vehicles go down it. Two vehicles come across each other, they try to yield the right of way to each other, and there's a hose on the road impeding that impeding their lane. You've got somebody else's property on that roadway, impeding that roadway. It takes one. I don't care if there's 2 people that go down that road a day or 200. It takes one incident.
Right, how does that work if it's that temporary of a road closure then, Mark? You know, we got a hole in the road and we can't get to it right away, so we try to put up barricades. Technically, it's a closed road. Without board approval, it's just an emergency type situation. If they're on a closed road, they have an accident, does the county then become responsible, or is it because it's a closed road, it's born, I mean, nobody wants to
This
see.
isn't a closed road though. I'm saying when they laid that hose along the side of the
No,
road, it's a non-closed road.
I agree.
But then don't you sign it?
Well,
You're putting your barricades up, that's telling everybody, look.
Well,
He's not talking about crossing the road.
he's talking
saying
about
they
when they
run it on the
parallel along
road.
the road, which I don't agree
They
with
run
at
it
all.
on the roadway.
No, that can't happen.
It is.
I don't think it needs to happen.
I don't think it can happen.
Well, it
Because
it has happened, it just shouldn't have,
Right.
is what we're discussing.
And we're not always made aware of those things.
So why don't you look for some more information on this, see if there's any other counties that have a policy of sort, and we'll,
I certainly favor pumping it more than seeing those big wagons, and I think you'd agree.
I fully agree. I don't,
and we can get law enforcement over here maybe in the next 2-3 weeks.
Well, I'll do some digging around and see if any other counties have policy.
Yeah, because these buildings are gonna be here for quite some time, they're gonna be, the problem's gonna exist. They gotta get rid of that liquid somewhere, and, so, see what you come up with, Rich, and
Okay.
2-3 weeks, we can invite law enforcement over maybe and see what their take is on it, whether they wanna enforce it or not.
Okay.
Okay? Anything
Rich,
else?
I'm just curious. Let's say it's a standard gravel road. What's it gonna cost them to bore under that 12-inch?
Well, I don't know if we'd require them to bore it if it's gravel. I mean, that's gonna be expensive. I mean, I think the bore under the road, you're talking a couple $1,000. If you open cut it, it's certainly a lot cheaper. And open cutting isn't, it's a little bit quicker to do it. And because it's gravel, it's easier to fix when they're done digging. So boring is probably the wrong term, but an open cut to put and what they would need to do is contact us. We don't want that culvert at flow line elevation. We'd want it up a little bit higher so it's not taking water and getting plugged, things like that. But you're talking, if you're gonna open cut it, you're talking the cost of the pipe. You're talking 12 inches at, what are you, not even 30 feet, so $500. A lot cheaper than one would want to bore it. Now, if you're going underneath the highway, of course, we wouldn't open cut that, we'd make them bore it, and then you're talking a little bit more expense.
I was just curious. We're not talking an outrageous amount for them to,
No.
the money
no.
that they're saving.
Yeah, I mean, think about what they're saving in fuel to run up and down the road.
Anything else for Rich?
Yeah, what's it cost to put in a culvert, a bigger one?
Depends.
For a field driveway, what's our policy?
Our driveway policy to put in a culvert,
Put in a bigger driveway.
Is there an existing driveway there?
somebody's asking to widen one, then they bore the cost of widening it. The one who requests the driveway bears the cost.
Talked about that a few years ago. Okay.
Yeah, we changed that policy a few years
Then,
ago, but I just don't know what it is.
What about the pipe?
Their cost. If
Did they get the pipe from you?
we don't sell the pipe,
Okay, they got.
we can't sell pipe.
Okay. We don't have a policy that can be plastic pipe if you want, right?
We say concrete, plastic, or metal. And it's gotta be, if it's plastic, it's gotta be dual wall.
Okay.
And it's gotta be the same diameter as what's there.
As what's there, and it's a minimum of 15 inches unless deemed that it doesn't need to be that big, based on the engineer's opinion, which
Okay.
we've done very little of deviation from that.
And if it's on the high part of the hill, you don't need a pipe.
Right. And you gotta have certain side slopes when you're done. I mean, a lot of these older driveways
You
have
have
been,
that out the,
the policy's out, and it's actually, the policy's on our website.
okay.
I had Barb put it on the website so people could access it, and instead of making a special trip to town to get one, they can print one off and then
Okay.
bring it into us.
Well, since next Tuesday will be the last official meeting here, we'll be moving right after that. Do we have a closing ceremony at the end of the meeting, or do we?
I'll pass.
Thanks, Mark.
Unless there's cake, I'm not covered.
You could have the Sound of Music cast come and sing "So Long, Farewell."
And he just volunteered to
Oh,
do
yeah.
so long farewell.
Yeah. So long, it's been nice to know you, huh? See you, Rich.
Yeah.
Okay, item 9 is approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
A motion and a second to approve the minutes from November 13th. Roll call vote, Volklander.
Aye.
Bach.
Aye.
Morel. Aye. Motion carried. Item 10, approve placing $6,000 in the land acquisition and capital improvement fund.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second for that approval. Roll call vote, Bach.
Aye.
Volklander.
Aye.
Morel, aye. Motion carried. Items of note. Meetings attended.
I had two last week. One was, NIAC had a presentation out here at the County Conservation Building where it was basically for business and public relations, customer service. There was about 35, 40 people in attendance. I took along Kelly Anderson, and he thought it was good. He normally is not one to attend a lot of those meetings. The Home Trust had all of their employees there, and it really would have been good for some of our courthouse employees to even understand that, you know, to a lot of extent, we do operate as a business. I mean, we have customers and how they want to be treated and how we should be interacting with those people and so on and so forth. So, like I say, that was a very good presentation. Because of that, at the same time, there was a County Conservation Board meeting. Normally, those things last 2.5 hours. 35 minutes theirs was over with, so it was a very short meeting. I just got in on the tail end of it. Apparently, Milt's last day will be, he's looking right now at the 25th of January. And so then Adam will be taken officially over by then. So that was pretty much what was from the County Conservation. RC&D, we met Thursday down at Waverly. We're still a functioning body. We're looking into trying to still give some help on some of this flood control. Looking into at least possibilities of getting grants, having studies done on what should be done here in order to help on flood control. So that was the RC&D meeting.
Where'd the funding for that used to come from?
Federal government, it came through basically like soil and water.
How many,
kind of that.
how many counties in your RC&D?
There's 7.
7.
We got us, Floyd, Chickasaw, Bremer, Butler, Blackhawk, Grundy. And sounds like even the national RC&D now possibly, there will be no more funding for them with the government cutbacks. But some of these RC&Ds have been in business long enough that they're actually self-sustaining, that they get enough, kind of like the NICOG. They write enough grants and that administrative costs that they're able to just maintain their existence through
It was already starting to peel off, but I don't know, I think they're old.
Meeting last week,
But,
and our meeting consisted of, we'd, go ahead.
This is Bob. Hello? Change their mind. They want to talk to me after.
We had approval of the leasing out the farm. A gentleman by the name of Steve DeBoer won the bid from Rockford. Then we also hired 2 new employees. One was David Pitts, and for an operator, and Jamie Shatek for the office out there. And the other, we had much discussion on purchasing a new hydromulcher to do our daily cover. And in the end, we approved buying that, $44,800. But it's a piece of equipment that's used every day, because at the landfill, we're dirt poor, so we use alternative daily cover. So anyway, that was our meeting.
This is Bob. Well, we're in our supervisor meeting at this time. Can I call you back? Do you have a number? Okay, thank you.
The gentleman,
Well,
Dave,
have you hired an overall manager then at the landfill yet?
well, this Jamie Shatek, she is a gal who now works in Decorah for Kelly Temp Service. She doesn't work, she works for them in their HR. She has a 4-year degree in business administration, so she's gonna probably take over the office, so to speak, and do the scale and what have you. Through the winter, this is probably gonna be a good time for this to happen, is because in the winter, sometimes out there, you can maybe only have 7 trucks a day, you know, and I think this is gonna work out really well with her. She lives, I believe it's in Alma. Her husband's a banker over there, and she's on the young professional, there's a young professional group over there, and she interviewed very well. I mean, in fact, she even sent us a thank you note for interviewing her, which I thought was pretty good. But there are a lot of things that bubbled to the surface out there, that it's good that the board's finally seeing how and what needs to be done. There are things that have been done out there that the board had no idea what was going on, so I think it's good. And we'll learn, and she'll learn, and I think it'll be a very, whether or not she moves into a director position or somebody else moves into a director position, the gentleman's Dave Pitts, he applied for both operator and office, so, you know, if it's something that maybe doesn't work out for her, maybe we can move him in and then hire another operator, so we'll see how that goes. But we had 16, I think it was 69 candidates, or applications for these 2 jobs, and boy, that's, you go through them, I mean, all the way
That's a lot
from,
of-
all the way from Port Atkins, and,
Really?
yeah, you know,
Wow.
What did the rent go for, Joe?
turn the camera off. So if you're renting from a lot of other people, you maybe don't want that necessarily, but like I told him, I says, it's a public meeting. It will be public, but we don't necessarily have to broadcast it, you know. If anybody's interested, they can call the landfill. But there was 13 bidders on the land out there. So we doubled our rent, more than doubled our rent.
Yeah. Probably long overdue.
Oh, it was, when you could put it in the CRP for $100 an acre more than we were renting it for.
Yeah, yeah. And build the soil rather than deplete it.
And then if we did wildflowers, we would've got more.
Is that right?
Yeah. Almost thought of that. Beekeeper's paradise. You go out there now, and on the old cell, and you drive by there, I mean, the whole side of the hill is nothing but geese. You know, and then they go down and sit on the pond, and then go out and sun themselves on the side there, and they're honking all day long out there.
Got any fish out there?
Fish are in the pond. Fish are probably about that long now.
Kind of enhances
Next year
the
we're gonna work on
wildlife.
our golf course. Next year we'll work on our golf course.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know,
It's,
if you want to hit in the rough there, it might be a little treacherous getting out of the rough.
it's, well, I guess we're allowed to, if we wanted to, we could put sheep on the old cell. You know, as long as they're not cloven hoof or something like that. I said, well, that would look really good, having a herd of sheep walking across the side of the hill there in the summer.
Yeah, keep the weeds down.
It's all clover, so.
Clover? I had a FMC Early Childhood Iowa Board meeting last evening in Charles City at 6:30. Gloria Carr, Floyd County Auditor, gave us a financial update. Everything's looking fine. She gave a brief discussion on the mentoring program in Floyd County, of which she has become active in. We had to discuss the board membership status. We had approved Krista Weininger as a new member. I don't know if any of you have known that Virgil Picard lost his bid for re-election in Chickasaw County. He has been the chairman on FMC Early Childhood. We're going to miss him. He's been on there for 12 years. I'll move up to chair from vice chair on that board. Had to update on the line items for the fiscal 13 budget from a couple of the providers. We had took board action to amend the budget. We had a presentation from Marcia Platt, who's a nurse consultant from Waterloo. Might sound kind of strange, but the presentation was on new crib standards. And I didn't realize how unsafe baby cribs are or were. You know, we're all lucky to be here, I guess, from that standpoint. But any of these cribs cannot be sold or anything anymore. You shouldn't hand them to next to kin or friends or relatives. Get rid of them. She also made a presentation on SIDS, the son infant death syndrome, and it was very interesting. The study was only in 2008 and 9. There were 91 babies died in the state of Iowa in that period from SIDS. And this gives an update on what you're supposed to do and how to place a baby in the bed. Shouldn't be anything soft, no blankets, no toys or anything. They have these, it's kind of I'm not exactly sure what you call it. I guess you can buy them in most of the stores that handle baby items. It's kind of a sleep, I don't know what you'd call it, like they advertise them snuggles or whatever on TV for adults, but this is for babies. It's just kind of a zip up thing so it can't ride up over their face or anything like a blanket could. One of the things that really hit home to me, because I know somebody that this happened to, but 58% of the 91 infants that died had been exposed to nicotine, parents smoking. So nicotine is a big factor in SIDS, and I know someone
that happened to that were smokers, you know, so. It's not just alcohol, it can be this nicotine, and the nicotine, even if the daycare worker or whatever goes outside and has a smoke, comes back, that nicotine's still on them, and shouldn't be allowed.
And they should sleep on their back, not their stomachs.
They're supposed to put them on their back, you know, instead of on their stomach. And I thought, to me, that doesn't make sense, because I thought, well, if they vomit, they would, you know, maybe choke, but 0 incidents, so. They're right, I'm wrong. But, and we had everybody brought food items for the families together for Nancy Bean Blossom to take for Thanksgiving dinner. And after the meeting adjourned, we had a little gathering at the pub. Say goodbye to Virgil Picard. So that was my meeting here. Manure management, land outreach.
We have 4 of them. Andrews, Knudsen, Section 11, O'Trannell, Myron J. Heeman in Section 12 of Stacyville Township, Labasi, Tip 16, Finisher Farm, Section 23 in Liberty, and Gaskill, Finisher Farm, Section 8 in Stacyville Township.
Item C, a discussion on some part-time help for Dave. Has there been any updates on that?
Well, Dave and I talked about it last week and kind of gonna go through a little job description. Did have somebody turn in one yesterday that would be interested, and I told him it would be part-time.
Did you come up with any hours or anything like that, or just kind of?
So it kind of maybe 20 hours.
Right.
That I know county care could use.
Absolutely.
Up to, or
Up
as
to-
needed,
yeah.
20 hours, you know?
Maybe
as
right
needed.
now even could be more.
Right. Well, through the winter, you never know if it's snowing all day long, and then all of a sudden you've got this building, you've got the sheriff's department, you've got the county services, you've got the annex, you've got the
Fox
courts up
River,
at the
you got
Fox River, you got
some
the
plaza.
plaza.
It could be here.
You know, you can only be in one place at one time.
That's right. And they're all important.
Yeah, safety's a big factor. So have you got a policy written, or a job description written up? or-
Not yet.
Okay.
And I've just started to go through some things that were incorporated from here into others, so.
And item D, policy update.
Did the locks people show up yet?
They came late yesterday and just went out there and looked, and then they'll be back. They kind of wanted a little drawing of what door, found out what doors would need new locks for.
Okay, I met with Dave Randall, and it sounds like he's gonna do the vault out there. I don't know how that's gonna affect our move. I guess maybe some of her stuff will just have to stay here, and if they need it, they'll have to come here and pick it up, take it back and forth, whatever. But it's gonna be concrete, total structure, I mean, block and a concrete ceiling. Actually making it bigger than the room that is there. It's gonna be roughly 14 by 11.3 or something like that. And she should be able to get, on the one wall, she should be able to get, I believe it's 4 of her shelving units in there, so that the books will be able to go right back in. Pat said she needed to take 300 books out there. And it can also be used as a safe room, because the door will swing in, you know. God forbid a tornado come through, everybody could pile in there, I guess.
Did Dave say when he's gonna start? Dave Randall?
I asked him that. He just,
When he gets to it,
well, I think he's ordering the materials for that, and I stopped at the lumberyard to order a steel door with steel frame for that. That's one Dave recommended, and from Curry's, and so Kelly was getting that information.
And we're planning on start moving next week, 28th, so the courthouse will be closed 28th through December 4th.
28th through
There'll
the
be,
4th.
it's, Dave McNanny's got an article that's coming out in the paper this week, and the other three county newspapers have been contacted. They wrote a little news item about it.
Oh, yay. Anyway. So that means we gotta clean out our desk.
Oh, no.
Some of this stuff doesn't need to go right away, I think
Get a dumpster.
just, we'll take what we need right off and then the rest of it can either be recycled or brought out, you know. Just get the major things done first.
So you said basically December 4th, yet the courthouse is closed. That would be our Tuesday board meeting. Where should we meet?
Out there.
Get out there.
Yeah, we'll be out there. We can, I think Barb said she was gonna move this in this office first, wasn't she? Or maybe that's all changed.
You and the
Or
veterans
do
could
you
go
wanna-
first.
Do you want to meet someplace else because there'll be stuff coming in and out and so
How about
on?
Carpenter Bar and Grill, 10:30?
Yeah, that would.
Don't
Services-
laugh, we're talking about it.
Services building over there.
It's too small.
To meet, just have your meeting.
Oh.
We
We did talk about it one time, about through this to move to different communities and
Mhm.
have maybe once a month or something like that, have a traveling board of supervisors meeting for folks that wanna, in those areas, to come to them.
I'm working on that for the forums.
For the who?
The legislative forums,
Oh,
to
yeah.
have them in the different communities. I'm working on that.
So, well, that'll be in,
But we'll be on that south end, so most of the action and moving
We'll
and stuff
have-
will be coming in that north end, so I
Yeah,
don't
it
think
shouldn't really
it'll
affect
bother us.
we'll have one more meeting here, won't we?
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah, 27.
Well, maybe we can talk about it then too, what we
Yeah,
wanna
that's
do
what-
going forward.
Give it a little thought though, and 'cause like you say, on that Tuesday is still gonna be a hassle down there, so.
Anything else for the good of the cause? 9:50. Stand adjourned.